Welcome back, my dear students. Today I am going to teach you about the second part of corticosteroids. We'll just finish off. The second part is very simple. Only uses, contraindications, and adverse effects of corticosteroids, plus how to use corticosteroids clinically, how they are withdrawn, whether we can withdraw it abruptly or whether we should reduce the dose and withdraw it, etc. Okay, we can. I'm going to my next slide. Today's objectives are pharmacotherapy, adverse effects, and contraindication. Pharmacotherapy includes pharmacotherapy means how the doses are being maintained, how they are withdrawn, and the other uses of corticosteroids. That is, yesterday I taught you about only the endocrine uses. Today I will be dealing with the non-endocrine uses apart from the one I taught you last time. Then the adverse effects and contraindications. Coming to the general principles, how to use steroids. Now, if you ask me, a single dose of steroid is not harmful. You can give a single dose of steroids in conditions like a patient has massive edema due to some sting or any allergic reaction. For that, you can give a single dose and stop it. If in case of a diabetes or a hypertensive patient, because these steroids are prone to increase BP as well as diabetes. So in such cases, a single dose is never harmful. Okay, and short-term courses can be given with small doses. Long-term use is hazardous, and they should be under routine checkup to see whether no other side effects are coming up, or they are not prone to diabetes or hypertension. Suppose we start steroids in patients who do not have hypertension or diabetes, but finally they end up with diabetes and hypertension in long-term use. And initial dose depends upon to their severity. So many interstitial lung disease patients are require higher doses. Then these allergic reaction patients require small doses. So doses depend upon the severity, and we should not stop the drug at once. Abrupt withdrawal is harmful. I will go in detail how abrupt withdrawal is harmful. And local therapy is much better than systemic for local reasons like itching, etc. We can give local therapy than oral dosage. Okay. Coming to choosing a steroid, how to choose a steroid, or under what are the few criteria you look before you choose a steroid. See, benefit risk ratio is a major consideration. That is, in case of a patient with hypertension or diabetes mellitus, when they should be given with steroids, check whether it will do harm or whether it will do a good benefit, whether it is beneficial for the patient. Such patients that might increase hypertension or diabetes. If giving steroid will improve the medical condition of the patient, we go with the steroid, or else we don't advise steroids in such cases. So the major consideration is always whether the benefit is more than the risk. Okay. Then we always select a drug, that is a steroid with primary glucocorticoid activity, and minimal dose is started to achieve the desired effect. Finally, I told you topical or local therapy is preferred whenever possible, more than oral therapy. Wherever you require a topical therapy or a ointment application, there you should always prefer topical application rather than giving the patient with an oral therapy. So choosing steroids in high risk patient is very, very important, because always you should look into the beneficial factor. If it possesses higher risk, then it is always better it is avoided. Okay, I hope you got the how to choose a steroid in patients. Coming to the dosing schedule, how do we dose steroids? See, once daily dosing is usually preferred for oral glucocorticoids. Okay, once daily dosing. Once a day dosing is usually preferred. Now, large steroid doses are administered in divided doses to reduce the local GIT effect. To reduce the side effects, higher doses are not given at once. They are divided into 2 or 3 divided doses, so that the side effects are reduced, especially the GI side effects. I told you they are prone to produce peptic ulcer, so to reduce such effects, they are divided into divided, they are large doses are given in divided doses. Also, I told you steroids or glucocorticoids are always having a circadian rhythm, that is they are produced in the body, secreted in the body during the early morning hours, 6 to 10 p.m. between 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. sorry, not p.m., 10 a.m. So in order to mimic the normal diurnal cycle and to reduce the risk of adrenal suppression, we prefer to give glucocorticoids in the morning between 6 to 10 a.m. Since they are normally secreting glucocorticoids are between 6 to 10 a.m., so we usually prefer to give steroids in between these time so that they can mimic the normal secretion. Also, alternate day therapy allows HPA axis to recover on and off days. That is, we should always taper the dose of high dose steroids before stopping it. We should not stop the drugs at once. അതാണ് ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചത്. ഓൾട്ടർനേറ്റ് ഡേ തെറാപ്പി കൊടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ചെറുതായി കൊണ്ടുവരുമ്പോൾ HPA ആക്സസ് സപ്രഷൻ ഉണ്ടാകാതെ നമുക്ക് പ്രിവെൻറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. ഓക്കെ ഓക്കെ Okay, coming to the withdrawal of a steroid therapy. Before going into the topic, I just need to tell you about the HPA axis suppression, hypothalamic pituitary suppression. Suppose a patient is on high dose, they are maintained on a high dose or steroids on prolonged period. If they are given, and sudden withdrawal of these drug will lead to suppression of this HPA or hypothalamic pituitary axis. That will lead to acute adrenal insufficiency. Okay, acute adrenal insufficiency എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഈ പറയുന്ന ഹോർമോൺസ് ഒന്നും സെക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റാത്തൊരവസ്ഥയുണ്ടാവും. So it is always advised that a patient on steroid therapy should not be stopped with the steroid drug at once. നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ വേറൊരു ഡ്രഗ്, ഒരു ആൻറ്റി ഹൈപ്പർടെൻസീവ് ഡ്രഗ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പോട്ടെ ആൻറ്റി ഹൈപ്പർടെൻസീവിനൊക്കെ വിട്, നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ പാരസ്റ്റമോൾ പനിക്ക് കഴിക്കുന്നു, 3 times a day കഴിക്കുന്നു, പെട്ടെന്ന് അങ്ങ് നിർത്തുന്നു. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് ഗോയിങ് ടു ഡു എനി ഇഫക്റ്റ് ഓൺ അവർ ബോഡി. പനി ഉള്ളപ്പോൾ കഴിച്ചു, അത് ഇല്ലാത്തത് നിർത്തി, ഓക്കെ ഫൈൻ. പക്ഷേ ഇൻ കേസ് ഓഫ് സ്റ്റിറോയിഡ് തെറാപ്പി, സിൻസ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് കൺട്രോൾഡ് ബൈ ദി ഹൈപ്പോതലാമസ്, വി നീഡ് ടു സ്റ്റോപ്പ് ദി ഡ്രഗ് only after tapering it. ഇതാണ് ഫസ്റ്റ് പോയിന്റ് നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിൽ വെക്കേണ്ടത്. വെൻ വി സ്റ്റാർട്ട് എ പേഷ്യൻറ്റ് ഓൺ സ്റ്റിറോയിഡ് തെറാപ്പി, ഫസ്റ്റ് തിങ് അവർ സ്റ്റോപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് ഡോണ്ട് സ്റ്റോപ്പ് ഇറ്റ് അറ്റ് വൺസ്. പെട്ടെന്ന് അങ്ങ് നിർത്താൻ പാടില്ല. വൺസ് യു സ്റ്റോപ്പ് ദി പേഷ്യൻറ്റ് അറ്റ് വൺസ്, ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ലീഡ് ടു സപ്രഷൻ ഓഫ് ഹൈപ്പോതലാമിക് പിറ്റ്യൂട്ടറി ആക്സിസ് that may lead to acute adrenal insufficiency, that is leading to atrophy of the adrenal cortex. To prevent this, we usually taper the dose and stop the drug. Okay, now tapering the dose to reduce the glucocorticoid dose by 2.5 to 5 milligram of prednisolone equivalent, and once we have reduced it to that equivalent, the patient may be switched over to a shorter acting for further tapering. ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ടേപ്പർ ചെയ്യുന്നത് എങ്ങനെയാണെന്ന് ഞാൻ ഒന്നുകൂടെ പറഞ്ഞുതരാം. സപ്പോസ് ദി പേഷ്യൻറ്റ് ഇസ് ഓൺ സോ ആൻഡ് സോ സ്റ്റിറോയിഡ്, സപ്പോട്ടെ prednisolone 5 mg 3 times a day പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു പേഷ്യൻ്റ് ആണെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചു, 3 times a day പ്രൊലോങ് പീരീഡിന് പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ദെൻ വി ഗോ വിത്ത് prednisolone BD 5 milligram. നമ്മൾ ഒരു 5 milligram കുറയ്ക്കണമെന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. 5 milligram BD ഫോർ 5 days. പിന്നെ 5 milligram OD, പിന്നെ 5 നമ്മൾ കുറയ്ക്കണം, 5 milligram OD ഫോർ 5 days. ദെൻ വി ഗോ വിത്ത് ഓൾട്ടർനേറ്റ്, അതായത് ആ 5 ദിവസം ഒരു നേരമായിട്ട് പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഓൾട്ടർനേറ്റ് 5 milligram prednisolone, or we can go with a shorter acting agent. There you can change, either you can go with a shorter acting agent alternately or reducing prednisolone 5 milligram alternatively and then stopping. This will prevent from the HPA axis suppression. I hope you got it. Here when starting or when withdrawing a steroid therapy, we should always taper the dose of steroid and stop it. Okay, then intermediate acting corticosteroids will allow more flexible dosing schedule and those having potent glucocorticoid effects. This will prevent lesser suppression. All these are done to prevent the suppression of HPA axis and to cause decrease or to lessen the decrease the GI irritation. I hope you understood why we need to why we need to taper the dose of steroid therapy, and no abrupt stoppage of the drug should take place. Okay. Few important agents that are used as injectables, oral, topical, and inhalative agents. Okay, are the injectables? Betamethasone. I went with all the individual agents before. Now just which are the injectable agents usually used? Betamethasone, dexamethasone, prednisolone, methylprednisolone, hydrocortisone, and triamcinolone. Then orally we usually go with betamethasone, fludrocortisone, prednisone, and methylprednisolone. Then topically we use betamethasone, clobetasol, fluocinolone, and mometasone. And inhalation we usually go with budesonide, beclomethasone, and flunisolide. Coming to the pharmacotherapy of corticosteroids. Then last class I talked about the endocrine uses. Now we'll just go into the non-endocrine uses of corticosteroid. Where else it can be used? Arthritis, that is different form of arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, rheumatic fever, and gout. ഇവിടെ എല്ലാം നമ്മുടെ ഇൻഫ്ലമേറ്ററി ഏജൻസ് വരുന്നു. ആൻറ്റി ഇൻഫ്ലമേറ്ററി ആക്ഷൻ സ്റ്റിറോയിഡ്സിനുള്ളതുകൊണ്ട് the anti-inflammatory part is being reduced by steroid and helpful in all these conditions. Okay. Collagen diseases. In collagen diseases, autoimmune antibodies will be formed or inflammations will be formed, especially in glomerulonephritis, nephrotic syndrome, and systemic lupus erythematosus. Avadeyum these anti-inflammation korrekkum, and also all these mediators for inflammation korrekkunnu, and also they helps in immunological response. Immunological response ne korrekkan sahayikkannathu, they are also used in collagen diseases. Severe allergic reactions. As I already mentioned earlier, in the കഴിഞ്ഞ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ പറഞ്ഞായിരുന്നു, allergic reactions mediate ചെയ്യുന്ന എല്ലാ mediators-നെ they inhibit all the mediators involved in allergic reactions like anaphylaxis, conditions like anaphylaxis, angioneurotic edema, urticaria, serum sickness, allergic conjunctivitis, and allergic rhinitis. All we prefer steroids, low dose steroids for few days. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ single dose of steroids can be given to prevent the acute episode. That is, നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു, ഒരു തേനീച്ച കുത്തിയാലും ഒരു കടന്തൽ കുത്തിയാലും we first find edema in the body. To prevent that, we give to reduce inflammation and edema, we go with a steroid. Okay. Autoimmune diseases, since they have an immunosuppressive action, they are used to treat autoimmune diseases like hemolytic anemia, idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura, and acute chronic hepatitis. Immunosuppressive property ഉള്ളത് കൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ autoimmune disease-നെ ട്രീറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ സ്റ്റിറോയിഡ്സ് ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നത്. Okay. Coming to bronchial asthma, it is again used in status asthmaticus, acute exacerbation of asthma, and also in severe chronic asthma. I told you in my previous class, here also asthma is another allergic condition with inflammatory as well as allergens which leads to the inflammation of the bronchioles. These reactions are suppressed by corticosteroids, and they are very highly effective in chronic severe asthma. In lung diseases, can be given for aspiration pneumonia, pulmonary edema, and for lung maturation in fetus. In my previous class I explained lung maturation in females, those who undergo preterm delivery. Preterm delivery ഉള്ളവർക്ക് സർഫാക്ടൻസ് കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങൾക്ക് ഉണ്ടാകാനുള്ള സാധ്യത കുറവായിരിക്കും. But these steroids, when administered at a high dose, will help in the help in the formation of surfactants and lung maturity takes place. Okay, and so therefore steroids are used in lung maturation in fetus. And other infections like severe tuberculosis, lepra reaction, bacterial meningitis, and in pneumocystis carinae. In such conditions also steroids are used because of the immunosuppressive property. Because of the immunosuppressive property, we should usually avoid it. Immunosuppression ഉണ്ടാവുന്നത് കൊണ്ട് എല്ലാത്തിലും നമ്മൾ avoid ചെയ്യണം. But in certain cases it is helpful by using small dose of steroid to prevent respiratory failure, and also helps in decreasing the mortality. Because of this, they are used in infection control. Okay. Not because of the immunosuppressive property. Because of immunosuppressive property, our immune power koreyatade ullu, but due to the other reasons it can help in the mortality, etc., it can be used to a lesser extent in such infections. Now, eye disease are allergic conjunctivitis, iritis, iridocyclitis and keratitis. Inflammations are anti-inflammatory property ulladhukondu they are helpful in inflammations. Coming to skin disease, eczema, pemphigus vulgaris, exfoliative dermatitis and Stevens-Johnson syndrome, SJS syndrome. Okay, eczema, exfoliated dermatitis അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ കണ്ടീഷൻ വരുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് നമ്മൾ സ്കിൻ പീൽ ചെയ്ത് പോകുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും അല്ല അലർജിക് റിയാക്ഷൻ വരുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും നമ്മളൊരു സ്മോൾ ടോപ്പിക്കൽ ഏജൻറ്റ്സ് കൊടുക്കാറുണ്ട് which contains steroid which will be helpful in such skin diseases also. Coming to the intestinal diseases, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease and celiac disease. അവിടെ immunosuppressive property ഉള്ളത് കൊണ്ട് immunological reactions അവിടെ ഉണ്ടാകുന്നത് കൊണ്ടും some immunological reactions takes place in ulcerative colitis as well as in Crohn's disease. To prevent all these, steroids are given and they are helpful in preventing such intestinal diseases also. The other uses includes cerebral edema, neurocysticercosis, malignancies, organ transplant, skin allograft. Now in organ transplant and allograft, their steroids are used to prevent rejection prevent ചെയ്യാനായിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ യൂഷ്വലി ഇതിൽ immunosuppressive property we utilize the immunosuppressive property so that immunosuppression so that there is no rejection. Again, other uses in septic shock, thyroid storm and pituitary adrenal axis function. Coming to the side effects. Now, what are the side effects? Even though this drug is a useful drug, there are a lot of side effects with these drugs. In my pharmacological action, I told you they are prone to produce hypertension, they are prone to produce diabetes. So, let's see what are the other side effects apart from hypertension and diabetes. Mineralocorticoid, they have the tendency for sodium and water retention, edema and hypokalemic alkalosis with progressive rise in BP. So these will cause increase in BP, hypokalemic alkalosis with edema and sodium retention. Adverse effects of glucocorticoids. Cushing's habitus. I hope most of you have answered me the question for what are the clinical features of Cushing's syndrome. Adana Cushing's habitus varayunnathu. You will have redistribution of fat on the body, buffalo hum, moon facies, pinne fragile skin and purple striae. Now fragile skin and purple striae nu parayumbodhekkum I told you protein breakdown is there. If it is in the skin, it happens the fragile skin and purple striae takes place. Then increase in glucose causing hyperglycemia. In muscles, if there is breakdown, there is muscle weakness and delayed healing. Again, there is immunosuppression so they will be susceptible to many infections. They can cause peptic ulcer, ulceration, osteoporosis. Bones bone breakdown, if bone breakdown takes place due to increased osteoclastic activity, it will lead to osteoporosis. In eyes, it can lead to cataract, posterior subcapsular cataract, glaucoma, growth retardation and fetal abnormalities. Coming to the contraindications, as I always mentioned, they are prone to cause peptic ulcer, diabetes mellitus and hypertension. So they are contraindicated in patients with such diseases. So they are contraindicated in patients with peptic ulcer, diabetes mellitus, hypertension, tuberculosis and viral plus fungal infections. Other contraindications, osteoporosis all patients because they are more prone to produce osteoporosis. In herpes simplex keratitis, psychosis, because they have caused emotional disturbances, they are not allowed to give they are contraindicated psychotic patients, epilepsy, congestive heart failure and renal failure patients. So today what we studied is how to dose, guidelines in using glucocorticoids and the other non-endocrine uses of corticosteroids with their adverse effects and contraindications. I hope today's class was a bit easier for you because yesterday I took most of the pharmacological part. In the class just application where all it can be used since they had all the other activities and the inflammatory property, immunosuppressive property, with those properties where all it can be used. Okay, with this we end up our class. Thank you.